Today I have an awesome guest. We haven't known each other a whole long time, but holy shit, has our relationship evolved and deepened really, really quickly. This guy came down to with me. We just had a workshop in New Orleans, the Destination Millionaire Mindset workshop, and Blake came down to hang out with us for a couple of days. And during the course of this workshop, I saw his eyes open up, and I saw his life and his world change. And in that workshop, it seemed like everything freaking connected and clicked for him. And ever since then, we've been in freaking lockstep. And this guy has become like near and dear to me. And I know I know I'm near and dear to him. That goes unspoken. But today I want everybody to understand and get to know my man, Blake Elsner. Blake, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate you having me. Obviously, this is new to me, and like you say, we haven't known each other for a while, but man, I feel like I've known you my whole life.
Yeah.
The impact you've made on my life in such a short period has been tremendous, and I just wanted to get that out before I start talking farther into this, because the thing that got me was how you carry yourself through Facebook, through your self-confidence. Everything that drives you got my attention. And I saw somebody that really knew what he was doing. He was in this mode like wow, I want to be that guy. I want to be Mike Kitko. I want to know what he's doing. And that's what led me to you. And but anyway, I am a third generation realtor. I've been doing this for about 7 years. I started it in college, and I graduated with a criminal justice degree. Did not want to do that. There was a cap in that, clearly, in what I could make. And sales, there's no cap. As you know, you've become an incredible entrepreneur, and there's no cap in what you do.
Nope.
In terms of passion, profit, everything. And you've figured it out. And so that's why I'm here. The only reason why I'm here is because of you.
Well, we're figuring out together, man. And like, entrepreneurism is the greatest personal development opportunity on the face of the planet, because there's nowhere to hide, right? When it's eat what you kill, you got nowhere to hide and nothing to hide behind. So you understand that. You've been at this for 7 years. And I just heard the other day, we're going to people get to know you a little bit, but you closed 4 deals. Yeah. You said you closed 4 deals without even like doing anything. Tell us about that.
I'm a big travel guy. I love traveling. I know you love traveling.
Hell yeah.
That's one thing we've connected over real fast. But what I did was, I aligned myself without even realizing it in a way. I structured my work that I had to do in order to leave town. And from there, everything just fell into place while I was out of town. I was still working, because that work-life balance is complete BS. It'll never be a thing. You got to bring your work with you like you do. You travel, you pick your work up and you go to Mexico and do the same thing. You pick your work up, you go to New Orleans, you do the same thing. It doesn't matter where you're at.
It's work-life integration. There's no work-life balance. I never need to escape my business, and it sounds like you don't either.
No, and that's the thing. So those deals fell right into place, and next thing you know, I'm checking out of our Airbnb, and I'm going, wow, we just sold 4 houses. We had 2 closings. And that stuff just fell into place while we're having a blast with, my family, while I'm not just 1 foot in anymore. I'm 2 feet in, and I'm all in. Like, I'm with my family. I'm working, and stuff is just falling into place. And that's solely because of what you did up here, right here. All changed.
Yeah, if you can't see it on camera, if you're listening to this, Blake talk. He puts his hand in the middle, like right in front of his nose, and then moves his hand from his nose to his heart, and he says it's all right here. It's all in the center. It's all within your mind and within your heart. And Blake, listen, I'm certainly I'm a support mechanism for you.
You were
but I want to make sure everyone understands that the mentor, the coach doesn't do the work. The coach, the mentor doesn't get credit for the outcomes, because I've coached a lot of people who weren't open to the lessons and the guidance that I have to provide. And the people that are open are the ones who get the results. The coach, the mentor doesn't get it, doesn't get the results. You got the results. You are the reason. You are to blame, Blake Elsner. You get the credit. You get the blame. You are the villain. You are the victim. You are the hero in your own story. And thank you for shining light on me. But brother, you didn't have to do the work, but you did, and that's why you get the credit, and that's why you get the blame.
Yeah, I mean, I did do the work, and Blake did it.
That's right.
With the support system, though, that's
Yeah.
key. Like, I had, you know, Mike Kitko, I had Inner Wealth Global. I had an amazing support group to where I could walk into this room immediately down in New Orleans and just feel like I was in the most trusted box of air I've ever been in.
Let's back it up.
Fam.
Let's talk about Blake before that workshop. I want to hear about, Blake's marriage. I want to hear about Blake's family. I want to hear about Blake's business. I want to give us a snapshot of what it was like to wake up as Blake Elsner.
Prior to running into, yourself, I was waking up basically surviving the day. I was living to die.
Hmm.
And it's hard to say that because for basically I just turned 32, basically 31 years, I was in survival mode. I was just running from problems, 1 foot in the family. I wasn't clear about what I wanted. I wasn't committed to what I wanted. And the clarity wasn't there. And those three things, the clarity, the certainty, the commitment, that's what you taught me. And that's what has really opened another layer of my brain. And I didn't ever even realized it was in there. It is so full of knowledge. And it's like you were the guy, the sponge, the hand that went in there and started squeezing that out, squeezing it. It was like orange juice, or it's like the fruit thing you say,
Yeah.
you know, eat the
Orange.
fruit, spit out
Yeah.
the seeds.
There you go. And you did it. And I want, so you woke up every day in survival mode, and I remember seeing messages from you. You're like, wow, for the first time in my life, I'm waking up and I'm excited, and I'm like you see the world as your palette, as your opportunity, right? And again, go back to I remember when we were in that workshop room and coming out of one of the meditations, because I lead active guided meditations during, and you woke up or you came out of a meditation, and it's like your eyes were wide open, right? For the first time, you really saw who you are, who you were, and you saw who you could become. Who is Blake becoming? Tell us about the future you that you planned and you have documented in your vision.
Oh, the future Blake has, endless goals. Obviously, we're never going to make it.
There's no there.
There's no there. But I'll tell you what, the journey, I am enjoying it, man. I mean, our plane yesterday was delayed. Usually, old Blake would have freaked out. New Blake goes, awesome. More time I get to hang with my family.
That's right.
Guess what? We got on the plane. Everything was fine. Made it home safely. There's just those certain things that used to bother me that no longer do. And it's a mindset thing. And going forward, the new Blake is confident. I have a lot of talent. I have a lot of wisdom. I just needed it somehow to extract it. And you came to me just simply through social media. You saw my post and you said, "Hey, Blake, want to go to a workshop in New Orleans?" And I'm like, New Orleans? I'm like, wait, the workshop's in St. Louis, right? Well, no, that's a different workshop. The one in New Orleans, you're going to come to. And I thought to myself, you're right. That's
Ah,
the one I have to go to. I
yeah,
have to go to New Orleans
yeah.
because that's the only way I'll show up.
We had a good time down there too, man. We had a good time down there. So you came to the workshop. Your eyes are open. You're seeing life differently. Tell us about and you're opening up. Your eyes are opening every day. Tell us about a little bit about how you serve people, what you do. Your kind of the purpose work that you do in your business.
Yeah, so I for the longest time, I loved helping people. I see great return on investments all the time, but I didn't feel a return on my purpose,
Mm,
in that sense of, I was seeing it in a paycheck way, but the purpose work. And so I met a guy, awesome individual, Billy Mayhall. He runs St. Louis Youth Sports Outreach. And I decided that, going forward, we were going to donate a portion of each transaction, to these kids that they're kids that don't have the ability to, um, have sports equipment, to have certain, things that I grew up with that I didn't even think about: a pair of cleats, a pair of batting gloves, a football. This is simple stuff that these kids never even get a chance to get their hands on. And this guy, he does everything in his power to make sure they do. And it's awesome to be a part of this. I don't want anything in return besides a picture of a smile from these kids. That's all I want. I there's nothing else. Like, he knows that too. Like, I don't need any business. I there's nothing I need out of those donations. Like, I just do that out of the kindness of basically my heart. And it makes me fulfilled inside. That's kind of what it does.
mm. And so you just want to see a kid smile. You
That's it.
just
I
want
mean, yeah, yeah.
and it's so fascinating. I mean, I grew up in a lower middle class, blue collar household, and we had enough. We had what we needed, and we always had cleats, and we always had batting gloves, and we always had bats and balls. But it's amazing, and you're right. There are kids who don't have those blessings, and they miss out on some of the simple basics of being a kid, playing some team sports, learning how to be a team player, learning how to be coached. I think that's important, because if you're uncoachable, then you're not going to learn for the rest of your life. And you figured this out. You're 32 years old.
32, just turned 32.
Just just turned 32. Happy birthday. But you at 32 years old, you're already like selfless in a way that you're looking to make a difference in the world. And look, Blake, it took me until I was 43 years old, probably 45, before I looked at the world as an opportunity for something besides myself. So I want to make sure you recognize how impactful and how important and how valuable that single thing is. That you at 32, the young ripe old age of 32, you figured out something that some people don't figure out in a lifetime. That there's more to life than just my own bank account and my own needs. So I just want to make sure you understand how important and how valuable that is. And from this point going forward, as your eyes open, and now you've got this, you already have this anchor in service and in servitude to these kids. Now you're going to take this new awareness, that the world's a palette and you can have whatever you want. You're going to bring it to these kids. You're going to make a big difference in the world. I just want to make sure we anchor that.
Yeah, thank you. I that's what I plan to do. And because of you having seen this in me, I was able to now do this. Without your guidance, I swear, like, I'm not here to plug you. I'm really here to tell people from the bottom of my heart, like, this happened for a reason. And I was able to then put it all together through your support system, and not just yourself, like, the community of people has helped me tremendously do all this stuff. And I I thank so many people for for this opportunity to be able to do this stuff. But no, I really, I got clear about really what I wanted. And as long as I could, you know, satisfy myself first and my family, then I'm free, and
Yeah.
I can satisfy other people.
So you're following you on social media. I've seen the clarity, the message, the tone from you change and it shift incredibly. What are you? What kind of messages are on? Like, what's your number one message that you want to share with the world?
Man, it's one of those things. It's self-confidence and platform, and we all have a voice, and like you said, there's 8 billion people on this planet. Why do we have to impress everybody? We
Yeah.
don't.
Or
We
anybody? Yeah,
we're Yeah, or anybody. We don't need validation from anybody. We're doing it for our own good. It's kind of like when you say to forgive somebody, right? We're forgiving people for our own self, not
absolutely.
for them. We're forgiven for our own self. Those actions still remain, right? That's exactly what you taught me. And so I've
Mhm.
learned to forgive people, even though I really never really hated people because I was always kind of a people pleaser, a recovering people pleaser. Um, but yeah, that mentality of being able to let go of, hey, I'm gonna forgive that person because it's for my good,
Yeah.
not for them, for
Yep.
my good.
So what Blake's pointing to is when we were in the workshop, I do some direct coaching, not one to one because we're in a room, but I do some direct coaching and I was going around the room and there was this one gal that when I was doing direct coaching, there was some resentment that popped up with somebody in her life. And I said, "Are you willing to forgive that person?" And she literally said no. And basically the whole room came to not call her out, but just remind her that she's holding on to this resentment and it's only hurting her. It's not hurting the other person, right? So resentment, anger, holding a grudge, it's like swallowing poison and expecting the other person to get hurt or the other person to die, right? And that's what Blake's pointing to. Forgiving is self-fulfilling. It's beneficial to yourself. It has nothing to do with the other person. You and I talked about before we came on here when we were just jamming a little bit, and you said, when I said, what's the thing that you want to share with the world? You said that I, we don't need anybody's approval. Like I'm a recovered people pleaser. The book that one of my favorite books, No More Mr. Nice Guy. I've done a podcast about it. I've done an episode about it. Tell us about Blake that needed approval versus Blake that doesn't.
Yeah, the Blake that needed approval, everything I would do, everything prior to even doing it, I would run a series of filters through my mind.
Mm,
And if there was one filter that idea got caught up on, didn't make it through that filter, it was done. My self confidence immediately threw it out. And I had so many filters, nothing made it through. It's like when you're sanding, like for rocks, and you have the little scooper and you got the rocks in the sand, like nothing. Mine was just all sand or all rocks. It was just
mm,
nothing was going through. Like I couldn't get it out, and so going forward, the new Blake, is kind of he's open. He's willing to share. He's willing to have a purpose. He's, you know, like you're saying. I still go back to the clarity thing. It's hard for me to get away from that clarity part because
yeah,
I had to get clear about what I wanted.
it's important. Clarity is important. So go ahead and anchor that and tell what are you clear about?
So getting clear about there was three things. Well, the hardest was going to be the podcast. I started the podcast. I jumped into that with Sebastian. That's one of the hardest things I just did. Obviously, the mastermind,
Mhm.
Adam McChesney, awesome dude. Known him my whole life.
My homeboy.
Yep, you know him. You're part of his group as well. Great dude in his group. Also, my main thing too was being in this inner wealth. And all these things cost, right? All these things are uncomfortable. I hated coaching. I despised people that did this stuff because I wanted to do it. I wanted to be
Ah,
a
there you
part.
go.
I wanted to be a part of this. That's why I hated it. It's simple. It's right here, as I say, right
Yeah.
there. And if you don't understand that, or change your mindset, you just continue to live to die. So I changed that and got that clear vision. I got the podcast. I'm in Adam's group. I'm in your group. Here I am, talking with you. I'm going to talk with Adam. I'm launching my own podcast. I have high level individuals that are willing to come on, like yourself. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that I can call you at any time is incredible. Your background, your expertise in not only just business, more so right here,
Sure, man.
what has made you so successful and made you so happy?
The quality of your life, if you look to the people in your life, you're going to see the quality of your life, right? And if you look at the quality of your circle, and we have a men's, we call it the Men's Health Alliance in our group. And every day when I go out for a run or when I'm lifting, I've got my AirPods in and I can hear the boys, sharing their wins and sharing, their lifting and their running and their results and their health and metrics. We're talking about, waist size, and we're talking about freaking, the metrics. There's one guy in there that says he manages his health like he manages his business. Know your numbers. So he's always sharing his numbers, and it's really, really cool that together we all have a separate plan for our health and what we're doing to maintain our health, but we're all doing this together. And the quality of your circle equals the quality of your life, right? So it's who you're doing life with.
That's totally true. And that health, health wealth group that we're in,
Yeah,
it makes you want to get better.
it
Like,
does.
you're like, oh man, you're like, okay, I gotta do, I'm out running yesterday because, Scott Winkleman, he's posting there, all this other stuff, and David's posting stuff, and I'm like, my stuff's packed.
Yeah,
Cassie, to my wife, I'm like, can you unpack? No, I'm not even gonna go that route. Let's just take a run in these khakis and a
there
belt.
you go. Yeah, the boy.
There's a pool. I'm like, what? What? I got one outfit left, for the airplane, as my wife says, your airplane outfit. And so I'm like, this is so uncomfortable, but I loved every second of it because it
Right.
was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, that I remember the first time I walked into a mastermind. It was a mastermind, but it was more a group of entrepreneurs, and they were all healthy, and they were all rich, and they all had great marriages, and they were all loving people, right? And I was looking at this group of people saying, holy shit, like I didn't know these kind of people existed, where they had well-rounded wealth and they were kind people and they were awesome people and they would pour into you. And I like that group of people. I became one of those people, and now I'm creating them in my life too, right? And
And
that's
we're not perfect. That's
no,
the hard.
and we share our imperfections, right? And that's what makes it even better, because people love you just as hard.
And that's the biggest thing, when you can share your imperfections and people support and bring them up or twist
Yeah,
them or try to, realign them. That's the stuff that keeps you going. You wake up, you're excited to open that group. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, oh man, there's a lot of stuff going on today. Like, I gotta get to
exactly.
work. Let's
Pe- People's asses are in motion, and we
yeah.
get to be part of that. Awesome. So, I know your fitness is coming back into play, man. You're closing some deals. Tell us about your real estate agency. Tell us about a little bit about what you do in your business and how Elsner Real Estate's going.
So yeah, we Elsner Real Estate, we've been selling real estate for over 75 years. We're pretty much transaction oriented. We have our own brokerage. I'm sitting in our office. We're here in Kirkwood, kind of by Ice and Fuel, if anybody's familiar with
I
Kirkwood.
know exactly
Uh,
where it is.
yeah, right there. So we've done, if you run all of 63122, 63119, 63126, all these zip codes, nobody sold more houses in that corridor than our family. Mostly my father. He built a dynasty, but we also had to figure out how to continue our business and pivot in an industry that's constantly changing. I mean,
Yeah.
our forms are about to change right now, practically in like less than a month. There's about like almost 100 new forms that we have to learn, and it's all new stuff. So we're constantly having to learn, and it's getting challenging, but I love to constantly learn. So I thrive when the forms change. That's how I get better, because then I learn the forms even more so than that other person, and I can bring value to a transaction. And we do so much volume at such a normal price. Like our average sale is about 325,000, and it's been between about 270,000 and 325,000 since like 2010. Like, it's kind of interesting to see the sphere of people we run with, but it's all individuals that work hard. They work hard for their money. And at the same time, we don't pay for any of our referrals, our leads. Like, all of our stuff is generated through our sphere, through word of mouth, through you know, people pleasing, as I say. No. Sorry, Siri just came on right there. But yeah, no. So yeah, I think going forward, our business, we have a lot of value in terms of our expertise, creating return on investments. I joke I secure people's futures because I have a lot of buddies. I find stuff for them, or investors. I have a people are like, why don't you buy property? I'm like, that's not my passion. My passion is to help other people buy property while I get the profit still. Like, I'm not over here not making money. People are like, well, why aren't you making money? People think it's always about real estate investing and wholesaling. Honestly, wholesaling, I can't stand that word. It's one of the words that has so much false, you know, information out there to it. Like you can become a wholesaler overnight. Like, that's just simply not true. All that is created from COVID, to be honest. And you have to align yourself with the proper person to actually secure your future through a proper investment. Like, I see people in 2, 3, 4 years. Now it's getting a little longer. You could have a short-term 2-year investment and make money. Now you're kind of at the 4 or 5 years with higher interest rates, but you're still making money. I'm seeing these, closing statements come through all the time, and they're nice. Like, that's what I live for.
Awesome. Yeah. And we've got a lot of, in our mastermind, we got a lot of wholesalers. And the one thing that I'll say, in terms of wholesaling, these people are out there looking, the effective wholesalers, not the anybody can call themselves a coach. Right. And when I was launching my coaching business, there was about 5 or 6 people that we were all launching our business at the same time. And they're all like employed now. And I'm the only one that really like was successful, because anybody can call themselves a coach, but very few can honestly really like just get results with people. The point is effective wholesalers are out looking to help other people solve problems, not just profit. They're looking to help people solve their real estate problems that they don't have a different path for. Right. And they're looking for a creative solution. So real wholesalers, it's not just a hang your sign and frickin' make money. It's you gotta understand the product, and you gotta understand how to disposition things that typically aren't dispositionable, just because they're out of solutions for the problem. But when you talk about Elsner Real Estate, 75 years, your grandfather, father, and you, is this true? So,
Correct.
So what do you love about real estate, Blake?
Oh, I love people, man. The whole criminal justice background, when wanting to be a police officer, that was my passion, because I like helping people. So I'm like, well, how can I help people? Well, shoot, I can help people with their futures, securing investments. So that's what I do. And real estate is one of the most powerful investments. And once again, people go, well, why don't you have a bunch? And I say, that's not my passion. That's not my niche. My niche is to go out and find investments for you.
I'm right
I
there
don't
with
worry
you.
about myself.
I'm right there with you. I'm surrounded by real estate investors. And there's no way for me not to be successful if I jumped into the game. It's just not a passion of mine. Angie's starting to do a little bit in the real estate investment space, but that's just not my jam. And I mean, even though it could be an easy buck, or it could be an easy wealth mechanism, that would, if I jumped into real estate investing, it would be because of insecurity, right? I'm scared of the future and scared that I'm going to lose it all if I don't jump into real estate. So yeah, that there's no passion in it for me, and sounds like the same for you, but you do love helping people like live their dream, right? Find their dream home.
I do. Yeah. I mean, every day, whether, they want a pool, or they want to be in Kirkwood, or they want to be in Crestwood, or they want to be in St. Peter's, O'Fallon, Imperial. I mean, we go all over. There's over 92 municipalities in St. Louis. And, then you have St. Charles County, and then you have Jefferson County. Like, we go all over, pretty much the area. We don't go over to Illinois. We have some good agents that we refer over to Illinois. I say that state's a little funny. They're a little backwards over there, but yeah, no, it's totally different process. But yeah, no, we spread our wings because we love helping people. We happen to brand ourselves in Kirkwood. That's where we do our branding. That's where our billboard is. That's where our bus benches are. People laugh. We have, they're like, "You have a bus bench? I just saw it." I go, "Yeah, you just saw it and you just told me about it, but then you laughed about it." I'm like,
Right.
"But you saw it." I'm like, "Thank you. That's awesome. Just don't sit on me."
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm like, that stuff. And same with the billboard. Like, we're constantly changing the picture, and people see that. And the other day I'm sitting at the stoplight going, I pass that billboard all the time, and it's myself usually. And right now it's my two kids up there, my four-year-old and my 4-month-old, or 3-month-old. And basically I'm sitting at a stoplight, and I look up to my left, and I'm staring at them. Like, I'm going, wow, this is awesome. Like, how have I never thought to myself, like, to just look up and go, look, your children are on a billboard staring at you. You created that. Like,
Right.
that's awesome.
What a blessing. What a
Right.
blessing this life is.
Hey,
So
you help me with this. You gotta, Mike, you gotta realize, like, I didn't just look up at that billboard because I decided to. Like, you knew I had to be invited. I have a inner portion of me that it's part of my human design, to where you knew I have to be approached.
yeah.
And I knew I had to change that. And if you didn't approach me, I don't know if I ever would have been approached. Like, I never would have moved. Like,
Mm.
I would have been stuck if you didn't approach me. Like, so you approaching me, you knew that I was like, oh my gosh, this guy sees my worth. Like,
Yeah.
this is the first time ever. Like, where do I sign up? How fast can I get to New Orleans? Like, let me book a flight. Like, this guy, I mean, I couldn't get in the room fast enough, and I couldn't spill, like, what's been holding me back, what's been, like, fast enough. I just knew, like, it was all perfectly aligned in New Orleans, that I knew my life was changing. I just couldn't figure out how to do it. And I needed that. Thank God you came. And we're not big into religion, but thank goodness you came and invited me to this, or else I'd still be waking up this morning living to die.
No, that's a
Instead,
big
I'm loving life.
that's a big statement. And you're sitting, like that was a ping.
Thing.
Not everybody's going to be watching this on video, but Blake is sitting in front of a podcast mic, and Blake's ready to rock. So just signed up for a program to launch his podcast. Tell us a little bit about this podcast you're launching, Blake, and what do you intend to do with this thing?
So this podcast is, I just want to provide value, and a lot of it's value for myself. I love to get it out. I love to talk to people. I love my own self-satisfaction, but I'm going to allow it to grow if it wants to grow. I'm going to, these people want to sponsor it. Absolutely. Like, financial options are awesome, like you say.
Mhm.
But the main part is that I get satisfaction out of this. I'm going to have so much fun getting to say, hey, Tom Bomarito, hey, Coach Weber, hey, Mike Kitko, hey, Adam McChesney, can you come on my podcast? Like, that's awesome. Like, can you say that? Like, would I known I could say that? Absolutely not. But I've made a leap because you saw it in me. And
Yeah.
then Adam saw it in me.
Do you have a name for this thing yet?
We're working on it, but it's gonna be Elevate with Elsner is kind of
There
how
you
we're
go.
doing it. Yeah.
There you
So
go. And I remember Sebastian said, "Don't put the don't put the word podcast in your podcast name." And this is the Inner Wealth Podcast. So I'm sitting in the audience when he said that. I'm like, well, I think I've done pretty well with having the name in there. So I'll take it. But
we're grandfathered in.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing hearing that. I'm like, well, it's too late now. But what? Let
Your
me.
podcast provides so much value. I've listened to your podcast and, you know, just like listening, just the opening to your podcast is powerful. If you just, I mean, you don't even have to listen to the podcast. Just listen to your opener, and you'll take something out of it.
Oh,
Like
thank you.
what it does is it pulls you in, and then I don't stop listening. Like you're
Yeah.
just like, it's just kind of like when you talk. Like I could sit and listen to you talk all day long. There's very few people where I could sit and listen to them and not get bored. Like, but there's a vibe about you that you carry, and a confidence and a care in people that you want to actually bring it out in them. It's kind of like I tell people, I'm like, Mike Kitko does not have to do this. This
Hmm.
is this he could go to the Cayman Islands and be perfectly fine.
Just hang
But he
out.
cares.
I do.
He cares.
I
That's
do.
why. Like that's
So let me go back to for me, and I'm going to tell a personal story, and then I'm going to send it over to you. There was a time where I wouldn't read Tony Robbins books. There was a time where I wouldn't pay attention to Tony Robbins, and it was almost like I thought I was too cool for Tony Robbins, right? That there was nothing to learn, and really, what it was is I was jealous as fuck of him, and I didn't want to be reminded of how small I was playing in the world. So when you talked about um, coaching and not wanting to be coached and being resentful of coaches, there's a coach in you, Blake, and you're launching this podcast as an opportunity to coach, to inspire, to empower people. Like what is the empower? What is it? Empower with Elsner? Is that what it was?
elevate. We're gonna elevate.
Elevate with Elsner. What do you want most of all to elevate in people?
Their self-confidence.
Mm.
That's I've had such a struggle with my internal self. Like I've struggled with my weight. I'm down from 268, now I'm down to 235 just since March.
Attaboy.
Yeah, like I've struggled. So like I want people not just to learn like business stuff, because I want people to understand like, hey, my a great family friend, one of the number one lenders in the Midwest, Tom Sinek. I want to know how he was about to be drafted as a D1 athlete in baseball at the University of Illinois to now being one of the best lenders in the country. So he got hurt. He had to basically audible through all that and figure out in his life, hey, how do I become an entrepreneur after getting hurt, realizing, hey, I was about to get drafted and go to the MLB. That's a pivot. That's a serious pivot.
Yeah.
And if you can learn from that, not just from his business, but learn how he pivoted, that's powerful stuff.
That is powerful. And I love, when I don't have a whole lot of guests on this podcast, but it's typically somebody who has a transformation story, right? And I call them like a from to story. At one point you were this and now you're this, and I want to hear that transformation. I want to hear that pivot point. And it sounds like that's what you're about to embark on too. And these transformation stories are awesome. When can we expect your podcast to go live?
So it'll be no more than 90 days from Monday. So you'll see it come pretty fast. Like Sebastian and his team, they're already they're already going to work. I kind of sent them what I wanted, and he's like, "This is awesome. We're gonna tune this thing up, and we're gonna crush it." And it's not, like I said, it's not for the validation. Like I don't want Susie, Billy, Joey to go, oh, pat me on the back. Way to go, Blake. You started a podcast. No. I'm patting myself on the back.
There you go.
I don't
Attaboy.
care. I don't care about you, Billy. But if you want to listen, go for it. Like I will provide value for you.
Oh, you're going to provide massive, massive value, man. And then you're going to have people in your podcast like talking to you like you're talking to me. And that's certainly not why I had you on here. So you could just constantly lift me up. This is what I wanted. I do want both of us to get our voice out in the world, but I want them to know you the way I've come to know you. And you've got a lot of love in your heart, man. And you've got a lot of inspiration. And you're looking to make a big, valuable impact in this world. And I think your podcast and your future coaching endeavors, because I'll say that your future coaching endeavors are going to change the face of this world, man.
I love hearing that. And coming from an individual like yourself who was in corporate world for so long, what'd you lead? Massive teams at was it Stanley, Black and Decker,
and energy companies and
yeah. This is stuff that like like you've been down this road, and I don't have to explain myself like, hey, I don't have to talk about real estate as much anymore. Like the numbers, like nobody wants to hear about that. It's kind of like you don't talk about really that much of your old number jobs because you've already proven yourself. So you don't have to waste time on proving yourself because people already know you've done it. You're in that creation mode. You're past the survival. You could be in the free mode if you want, but you like that creation mode. You're just hanging out.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun being here. And you are about to embark. It's obvious that you made that switch from survival mode into creation mode. And this podcast, as we bring this thing to a conclusion, this podcast you're getting ready to launch is going to be a game changer for you and for a lot of people in this world. All right. Elevate with Elsner. We'll look for that in 90 days. Where can they find you right now, Blake?
So find me. I'm big on Facebook. I love Facebook. Blake Elsner. That's all you got to search my name. We also have an Elsner real estate page. You can follow that. That's got a lot of followers, but I'm real strong on my personal brand right now because like I said, everything falls into place once you get clear about what you want. You have certainty and you have commitment. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, man. I'll put the links to Elsner Real Estate, to the Facebook page, to Blake's personal Facebook page. We'll get all of his personal branding stuff in there. Connect with this guy. Listen, keep an eye out for Blake. All right, Blake. First of all, 32 years, so he's got a couple decades under his belt. But over the last few months, his eyes have really started opening up. Watch out for this guy, because in a few months, when that podcast comes out, and as he steps into the coaching world, and he's got too much inspiration to keep it all to himself. As he steps into the coaching world, he's going to make some waves. And Blake, I'm going to be with you on the ride, brother. We're going to go shoulder to shoulder, and we're going to change this world, man. The mission of Inner Wealth Global is to make the world a more loving place. And that's what we are doing on a daily basis. And your life's about to get really, really fun.
I love that. And thanks to you, because you brought me shoulder to shoulder to you. I'm shoulder to shoulder to you. You're not in front of me.
Nope.
Or behind me.
I don't want anybody behind me. I want everybody beside me. Don't get behind me. You're not less than. Don't get in front of me. I just stand beside me. Let's freaking go. But listen, we'll end it here. Look out for Blake. Connect with him in the show notes. Connect with his links, and look out for Elevate with Elsner over the coming months. Watch on Blake's social media posts. He does a lot of social media stuff and gives updates about his family and his personal life and his business. So he's going to be doing a lot of promotion about his podcast and about his coming ventures. Look out for him. And we're going to end it here. Blake, it was great having you on here, brother. You're just getting started, and I can't wait to see where you go.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate for having me, and can't wait to see. Let's change some lives.